Okay. How's everybody doing? I see Di. I know Tara's in here. Happy birthday, by the way. I think we will turn this camera this way a little bit. No, this way a little bit. There. Maybe just a little bit this way. There we go. Alrighty then. Di, do you know what happened last time? You're right, we did figure out he was adopted. You know who he is adopted to? No, the president is actually his biological father. He's adopted to Judge Gavelle. Yeah. So, Judge Gavelle adopted Sean. And the president is his biological dad, which means Judge Gavelle's, I want to say cousin, is Sean's biological mother. We have the impression that she is no longer with us. We also decided to investigate the old orphanage, which no longer exists. What exists right now happens to be the big building. So we got a lot of clues out of that. We may revisit the orphanage at some time. I believe we have about 2 parts left. So we're getting very close to finishing this game. April 6th, 4:51 p.m., big building, empty lot. Sean. Was my dad? It can't have been easy learning the truth about his father's identity so unexpectedly. And too late to ever to get to know him. You know how hard I tried to find him? Sean. I get it. He was the president. He had a lot more to think about than just me. But he was right there in front of me. Right there on the set. So why didn't he just say something? Why didn't he tell me who he was? I'm sorry, Sean. I'm so sorry. It's not your fault, Mom. It's mine. If I hadn't broke my promise to you, that fire would have never happened. You wouldn't have... I ruined everything. Everything. It's all my fault. I even ruined your flowers. John. Please. You mustn't blame yourself. Just try to be here with me. Just for a little while. Bond between parent and child, as symbolized by the lion lily. I'm no expert, but it's native to Zhangfa, so I know that much, at least. Sadly, we don't have the luxury of dwelling on such things just now. I know it might seem insensitive, Agent Lang, but sentimentality won't help us here. We need to focus on what we can to do about the case before us. You're right. I believe we've learned all we need to about what happened back then for now. How did it line up with your father's theories about the case? I wouldn't know. He took those to his grave with him. He never shared his thoughts with anybody. There's no way of knowing now what he figured out. What about your own thoughts? Are you feeling any more positive in light of what we learned from Kay's reconstruction? Are we any closer to learning what really happened 12 years ago? You know, I think we might be. My father's footsteps are starting to become clear. Now all we need to do is follow them. All the way to the truth. Real story of FS5 incident. The president went to the orphanage that night. That much we know for sure. The Torosaurus tour proves it. He must have gone there to meet with Amelie Fent. Except he was kidnapped and Aldone happened to see it. If Aldone hadn't been there, it wouldn't have been a murder. Just a kidnapping. Instead, they had to move his body to the planters and stage that photo to throw everybody off the scent. So, that's our current theory, is it? SS5 incident case file updated, data updated in my organizer. Something I still don't understand. There is this. Why risk staging the picture? They would have had to force the president to play along. What if he hadn't? It's a good question. We may be closer to discovering that answer than we think. We'll just have to get there in one deduction at a time. Yeah, I guess we will. Alright, deduce away. Put that aside for now. I don't play with it.
Hold it!
Alright. Nothing should be taken for granted at this stage. We need to treat even the seemingly certain with caution. Can we really be sure that the president went to the orphanage? I get it. You want evidence? This is a nice change of pace from people asking you to show them proof, huh, Mr. Edgeworth? There's no need to actually say it out loud, Kay.
Hold it!
Blushy? It has a recording device concealed inside it, correct? It does, and it was used by Sean's mother, Amelie. He recorded a message asking the president to meet her at the orphanage at midnight. Wow! You're finishing each other's sentences now! What a team! You two will peel away the layers of truth like an onion. I'm sure of it. You do realize that there's nothing underneath all that layer of all the layers of an onion, do you, Kay? Could you try to say something a little less unfortunate sounding? Poor Kay. You want to give her a hug, don't you, Di? She looks like she could use a couple of hugs. You two will peel away the layers of truth like the skin of a wolf. I'm sure of it. He said less unfortunate sounding. Now Lane's getting involved. Shall I continue? Layer the skin of wolf, and here goes Lang, the wolf pack leader. Hey, Phoenix.
Hold it!
Are you telling him to press? Could we go over the details once again? So Mr. Aldone saw the president being kidnapped from right by the orphanage. And he was standing next to the snowman. The murderer crept up behind him, grabbed a brick, and woo! Eee! Calm down, Kay. We're simply verifying our understandings of events. Yeah, well, the little outburst just blew my understanding out my ears. Out of my ears. I know we have to go over all this again, but can we do it less dramatically? Really? Fine. I'm happy to keep answering if you're happy to keep asking.
Hold it!
If Mr. Aldone hadn't been there, huh? That's an interesting suggestion. Here to explain? There's not a whole lot to explain. He saw the kidnapping, so he was murdered. If he hadn't been there, maybe the kidnapping could have happened without any blood being spilled. But could it? Makes it sound as if it was Mr. Aldone's fault he was murdered. That's not what Agent Lang is saying, Kay. What he means is that Mr. Aldone was the only person who died at the orphanage that night. Well, of course he was. They kidnapped the president and everything. Is he? But the ransom we paid and he came home safely, right? He's right, of course, but why does something bother me about that? Something bothers me about that too. What about you, Di? What's bothering you the most? What's bothering me is we have a big giant blood spill that we don't know who it belongs to. I think it might be worth taking another look over all the evidence. Finish discussing this thing with your assistant, Mr. Prosecutor? Let's continue, shall we?
Hold it!
This is another very important part of our current theory. Shall we go... Excuse me, I didn't mean to let that out. Shall we go all over the details again? Sure, probably a good idea. Alright, first, what did Aldone see? He saw the president being kidnapped from right in front of the building. But the kidnappers were keen to avoid any suggestions that they might be connected with the orphanage. Yep. So they replaced the film in Aldone's camera and staged a photo of the kidnapping occurring further away from the building. Indeed. And then they moved Mr. Aldone's body to a location consistent with what the picture showed. Secrets burning underneath the snow 12 years ago are finally coming to light. And we're sure that's really what happened that night? My thoughts exactly, Edgeworth. How about yours, Di? Your thoughts exactly? What's the matter, Mr. Edgeworth? I get the sense we're still not seeing everything. That there's something else at play behind it all. What do you feel? What's on your mind? We have a suspicious pool of blood that we don't know who it belongs to. There is, but what? There's a piece of evidence we discovered that Agent Lang's theory can't explain. We have the present. We have to present him with it and develop our thinking further. You'll have to get Andy for the answer key, Di. You have to pick statement and evidence, and we have to have Andy to see if you're correct. I think so. I think this is the statement. I have a very good feeling about this statement. Now it's just a matter of presenting the evidence. Page 4 looks very promising. Bloodstain. So, I think that's correct. I think it would work for this statement. But is it correct?
Objection!
You're saying there would have been no murder if Mr. Eldon hadn't witnessed the kidnapping? But is that really the case? Why wouldn't it be? Their main aim was to abduct the president, right? So if there hadn't been a witness present, they wouldn't have needed to murder anybody. And yet it remains possible that Mr. Eldon wasn't the only person killed that night. There was a large pool of blood between the planters, but Mr. Eldon was murdered over by the snowman. It can't have belonged to him. What if all that blood by the planter belonged to somebody else?
Not so fast!
Come on, Mr. Prosecutor. You do realize what you're saying, don't you? I do. It's hard to believe. I'll be the first to admit. But it's what the evidence suggests. Not just one person was killed here 12 years ago, but two. You're saying they covered up a whole separate murder? But who? Who else was killed that night? Whoever covered up this other homicide did so very skillfully indeed. They even seem to have been able to avoid it being mentioned in the files, but they didn't quite get rid of everything. We have a piece of evidence from 12 years ago that they never managed to erase. This clearly shows that something else happened that night. This one actually should be pretty easy. Yes, I think it's going to be on page 4. Once you see it, you'll know. Yes, this is going to be the correct one, I betcha.
Take that!
Excelsius Winter tried to shroud the existence of the other murder in darkness. But there was one piece of evidence he wasn't able to suppress. Thanks to the efforts of your father, Agent Lang. My father? Cast your mind back, if you will. Something else was hidden along with all the other evidence from the crime scene. The existence of the child who set the fire in front of the orphanage. Why would Chairman Winter wish to erase him from the record? Because he saw something he should not have. That's why. He did? What was it? It's right here in this picture. The picture my father kept? I think we can all agree that's the president on the right-hand side. And that's the Torosaurus toy in his hand. But who's that standing across from him? This one's easy, isn't it?
Take that!
Eastern robes and a black dog? That can only be Bodhid Harmacanis. What? That creepy assassin guy? And what would a hired killer be doing in the presence of a president? I can think of only one thing. That's right. It wasn't a kidnapping that occurred here 12 years ago. It was an assassination! Ah! And Warden Lagarde and Chairman Winter were, yes, I think they were complicit. More than complicit, in fact. One provided the venue for the killing, and the other suppressed the testimony of the child who witnessed it. Mr. Aldone was murdered because what he witnessed was actually an assassination, and not the kidnapping he thought it to be at all. Do you think I'm an idiot? How could the president have died 12 years ago? We only found his body this morning. He was alive and well until just recently. Yeah, we even met him. Indeed. So we have a president killed 12 years ago and a president killed in the last 48 hours. Two presidents, in other words. Right. Which is completely impossible. Or is it? I think it's entirely possible for there to be two presidents. In fact, that would explain a lot. But regardless of what happened, I still respect him. St. Paul may not be a big country, but he held the place together. The president Agent Lang spoke of was a noble and capable leader. No, no, The presidential mask has well and truly slipped. Entirely unlike the man we met. It really did seem as if there were two completely different people. And how could one country have two presidents? What could explain a situation like that? This is how it was possible for there to be two presidents. I'm gonna be honest with you, the last one is completely wrong. No, that one's not right. That would leave this one. They're not twins. He's a body double. One of the two was a body double. Tell me that doesn't make sense. A body double? President Wang was a man of great power and influence in Zhengfa, a figure on the world stage. There must have been countless attempts on his life over the years, such as the one of Gourd Lake only a few days ago. It's true, there were more than a few assassination attempts, but that doesn't mean I'm about to accept that there was more than one president. Not without proof. Do we have proof that there was more than one president? You're gonna say page 2. Don't see anything on page 2 that we can use. Because that case file is IS7. Page 3. The only thing I can see would be this one, but I don't think that's correct. Even if we go into details, occurred on February 10th, 12 years ago. President of Zhengfa was kidnapped and ransomed for $100 million. President's presence at embassy until midnight, confirmed by DeLong Lang. President Wang was supposed to meet Amelie Fan at the orphanage at midnight. Witness Elf Aldone was murdered. His body moved and a photograph of a kidnapping staged. So that could be it. There's also one more that could be it. It could also be this one. What answer did you get from Andy? The SS5 case file?
Take that!
I don't think he noticed the contradiction staring him in the face. Or is he just unable to accept it? What's the matter, Mr. Prosecutor? You're pretty quiet all of a sudden. In Amelie Fenn's recording, she asked the president to be at the orphanage at midnight. But it shouldn't have been possible for him to be there at that time. Huh? How come? Because he was supposedly still at the embassy. With your father, Agent Lang. There's our proof. So he had noticed. The only way he could have been in two places at once is if there were two of him. So the real president, the one that was the one who died 12 years ago? I think it might have been. But why? And who? Who had hired Canis to murder the president? Well, it shouldn't take that long of thinking to figure the answer out for that one. In order to figure that out, we'll need to look again at the piece of evidence we recently discovered was a fake. The fake evidence. What was it again? Well, the term fake evidence should be your clue, Di. No, there's nothing on page 2. Should be page 4, yes. There should be one fake evidence. It is completely fabricated. Do you see it? That is probably the most likely answer we have right now.
Take that!
The picture taken with Mr. Aldone's camera was staged sometime after his murder. Mr. Aldone was murdered because he witnessed the president's assassination. In other words, the photograph, too, must have been taken after the real president's death. So who is the president in the staged photograph? The body double. Nothing else makes sense. I believe the president's double had him killed so he could take his place permanently. An Excelsius winner and Fifi Lagarde helped him do it. Wait, you don't even have a body to support your theory. Are you telling me it magically disappeared?
Objection!
No. In fact, we know exactly where it wound up. The president's body was here the whole time. This one's going to be a little tougher. It's a possibility. This one you're going to probably need Andy's help on. Footprints? Where? Page 1? This? The monster's footprint, okay.
Take that!
Chairman Winter dug something up last night, something he couldn't trust anybody else to retrieve. He thought it might have been the ransom money, but it was actually something even more important. Wait, you mean... That's right, the real president's body. I think it's highly likely anyway. What? The body may have decomposed in the interventic years, but the bones would surely have remained. Mr. Powers informed us that construction is due to start here sometime soon. Everything had to be wrapped up before then. The shooting of the movie and the recovery of the president's remains. Yeah, I guess once they started digging the place up, they would have found them pretty quickly, huh? Agent Lang, we need to have the so-called monster footprint analyzed again. Yeah, I guess we do. If there was a body under one of them, there should be trace evidence to confirm it. Hey, get me somebody from forensics. Sir, presenting the findings of our analysis, sir. Traces of human remains were found in the dirt, along with other signs of a body having been buried. Sure. So it really was him? Bones were also recovered from the home of Excelsius Winter. The physique looks to be about right, and dental and medical records are a match. It's him. No doubt about it. So as suspected, the real President Wang was killed 12 years ago. And the SS-5 kidnapping was in fact a homicide. Monster footprint data updated in my organizer. Wow. So it really was a murder, huh? This case has gotten so many twists and turns, I'm starting to lose track. Yes, for us, we should summarize our findings, just to confirm that we understand everything correctly. Good idea. Let's go over everything from the point where the president arrived at the orphanage. 12 years ago, the real President Wang visited the orphanage. His aim? To meet his infant son. The footprints were originally assumed to be those of Mr. Aldone, seem likely to have actually been made by the president upon his arrival. But instead of being greeted by his child, he was met by the assassin, Baldhead Himara Canis. That's so sad. He was hoping to see his baby for the first time, only to... Indeed. At least with Mr. Canis, we can be sure that the job was swiftly and effectively completed. But then, after the assassination, another tragedy occurred. Mr. Aldone's murder. Yes, it seems he had witnessed the key moment in the evening's proceedings. The moment when our culprit, the so-called kidnappers, took the president's body around to the side of the building. That was the sight that sealed his fate. We've now established that he was standing by the orphanage gate at the time, far enough away that he believed what he was seeing was the president's abduction. At which point, Oh, the body double who had come to meet up with his co-conspirators walked right up behind Mr. Eldon, leading to our unfortunate eyewitness being murdered by the man who was plotting to replace the president. So, was it the body double who moved Mr. Eldon's body too? Yes, I think it probably was. But none of the footprints could have been his, could they? Actually, I think they could. In fact, we have a piece of evidence that proves how the particular trick was achieved. What shows how the body double managed to move the body without leaving any footprints. You're gonna say page 3. I don't think so. So these are the only two evidence on this page that's related to what they're talking about. But I'm pretty sure we have an evidence on page 4. You can probably verify from Andy, but I think you're correct.
Take that!
What if the president's double moved Mr. Eldon's body like this? After killing Mr. Eldon, he could have carried him to the other side of the entrance. Given that he just was to look just like the president, he could have been wearing the same shoes. Meaning that if he stepped exactly in the footsteps left by the real president, of course, he would have been the same shape and size. It would have looked like a single set of footprints. So that's how it all went down. I'm so glad we finally figured it out. Wait, but there's one thing I still don't get. There is? What? Why did he need to pretend there was a kidnapping? Mr. Eldon had seen the president at the orphanage and left a message on Miss Ringer's phone describing what he thought he saw. It would have been impossible for the conspirators to erase that message. So they had to make it look as if the events described in that message were true by staging a kidnapping like the one he thought he saw. Exactly. I think the two people in the photograph are likely to be the body double and Fifi Lagarde. She's the one in the trench coat. How could you be so sure of that? The two of them would have had to walk out behind the orphanage gates to stage the photo. The body double could have put his feet in the real president's prints as he did before. Oh. So the other set of footprints were hers? The ones we originally thought belonged to the killer? Yes. They were about a size 9, too small for Chairman Winter, in other words. Which means the kidnapper must have been played by Warden Lagarde. And that explains how a so-called kidnapping was actually a presidential assassination. It does. Which means my father must have noticed. There's no way he wouldn't have suspected a murder. Especially not with the kid's picture as proof. But the picture was never officially put into evidence, correct? No. He appears to have kept hold of it after taking the witness statement of the child who drew it. Yeah, because he knew. He knew President Wang was dead. They knew what would happen if the news ever got out. St. Paul would have been plunged into chaos, no doubt. But he kept it a secret, and the secret died with him. Even though it meant taking the blame for the kidnapping and our family name being ruined. Your father knew the truth about what happened 12 years ago. But he chose to hide it. Well, it's finally coming to light at last. SS5 incident case file data updated in my organizer. Is it indeed? Intriguing. Huh? What? Who's that? Sound. Is that a bell? Fojita Harmacanis! What the heck are you doing here? We're the law! You think you can just show up in front of us like it ain't a problem? Forgive me, but I couldn't help overhearing the fascinating conversation you were having. The opportunity to gloat over your past crimes is too good to miss, I expect. You killed President Wang! I did. But it's not something I'm inclined to gloat over. Di, do you want to pet the dog? He may look nice there, but he's trained to kill. I was more interested in something else you mentioned. Or someone else, should I say? Someone you're looking for, I suppose? Exactly. That's why I took a little sojourn from the penitentiary to find a certain young pup in a rather eye-catching red raincoat. What? Wait, you know who they are? In a manner of speaking, what did you call them again? A secret mastermind? It's your friend in the red raincoat, of course. Red raincoat? The prosecutor looks a little surprised, doesn't he, Telmus? Yes. Yes, he does. The young pup I mentioned, he saved my life, you know. 12 long years ago. My unexpected savior. As you have surmised, It was I who killed President Wang. That meant that I, too, became an inconvenience in need of removal. The imposter president, Winner, Lagarde, all three were keen to guarantee my silence. And if I hadn't met my friend, young pup again, they might even have succeeded. I wonder what he's doing now. So it was the president's body double who hired you? Yeah. I remember his words almost as if it were yesterday. You know how many times I've nearly been killed? Not once, not twice, a bunch of times. Why do I have to take all the risk? Why am I the one they always put in danger? When I'm out there being him, people treat me like I was him. They worship me. So what's the difference? Who's to say I couldn't be just as good as him? There was a difference, of course. Even if he did look and sound exactly like him. Yeah. Just because it walks and talks like a president, it doesn't make it a president, does it, boy? No. So, he got his wish and became the boss, but couldn't quite fill his predecessor's shoes. Wright's not around. That means I'm number one. I wonder if you have what it takes to step into such capable shoes. You! Of course I do! I'm the leader now. Me. Seems the king and his knight were much the same. President Double knew that his employer had a weakness. A young woman named Amelie. In order to find her, he needed to enlist the help of locals. Locals such as Chairman Winner. Once Miss Ben had been located, they simply needed to find the right time to lay their trap. The meeting she arranged so the president could meet his son. That would have been the perfect opportunity. Indeed, the head of the orphanage brought into the fold, their little conspiracy was complete. Warden Lagarde. Now, quid pro quo? Where might I find the pup? What makes you think the boy who helped you and our mysterious string puller are one and the same? He set a little fire that night, out there in the yard of the orphanage. Oh, yeah, we saw that. It was some kind of a prank, right? A prank? Yeah. There's nothing of the sort, my dear. No, as I understand it, you're taking refuge in the igloo by the entrance. There, you happen to see Winter and Lagarde carry away a dead body. You also overheard them hatching a certain sordid little plot. A plot to remove me, the only other person who knew what had really happened, from the picture. Thankfully, he was kind enough to come and inform me. I was waiting inside the building, you see. He also happened to mention later on he was wearing his favorite red raincoat. In any case, he escorted me from the premises. And being a very considerate boy, thought to erase both our footprints from the scene of the crime. Seems he had a little kerosene set aside in the igloo for just such an occasion. So he spread it liberally around the place and set himself a little fire. No way! So that's what the fire was for? Must have been ever so beautiful. Winter and Lagarde were positively enchanted. While they were distracted by the show, he took the opportunity to usher me out of a side entrance. You never answered my question. You really think he's the one behind all this? I do indeed. Don't I, Helmut? Yes. Yes, I do. That was quite of a long separation between the testimony and the cross.
Hold it!
You were pretty forthcoming with the particular admission. If I'm honest, Mr. Edgeworth, I'm tired of all this killing. Yeah. But back then, I felt that death was my path. I embraced it and strove to learn what it had to teach. I have made my peace with that. I'm happy to admit it. Or not, boy? Yes. Yes, I am. I'm not sure what he's talking about, but I definitely don't like the sound of it. Basically, he thought nothing of murdering the president. And not only is he an assassin, he's not a prison escapee. He's now a prison escapee. Not someone to be trifled with. We can't afford for him not to talk. He'll need to tread as carefully as I can. I'll need to tread as carefully as I can. Very well. You killed the president. You're happy to admit it. Oh, very much so. I wouldn't want you thinking that I drew my blade and missed.
Hold it!
You, a target? But you're an assassin. Sometimes the hunter must become the hunted. Sometimes the living must become the dead. Please, Kay, don't feel the need to add a proverb of your own. Well, that's a very old one, though. Impermanence is inherited to the way of the assassin. Life taken. Lives are taken. So it goes. Wait, does that mean the people you're sent to kill sometimes try to kill you back, or? It happens occasionally, but it's not what happened this time. But Mr. Cannon, you're a professional killer, and a famously skilled one at that. Surely escaping even 3 attackers would have been a little more than a minor inconvenience. Yeah. You overestimated me, Mr. Edgeworth. You seem to forget that without a helmet here, I couldn't even walk down the street. Of course, he's sight impaired. Against 3 assassins, I wouldn't have lasted more than a few moments. I see. So even the most proficient assassins are ill-equipped to face a full frontal assault? We're not usually fond of such situations. Shall we say? I certainly wouldn't have liked my chances.
Hold it!
Again? So the two of you had met before? Yes, on a cool and lonely Christmas Eve, 18 years back. That long ago? But on that occasion, it was I who saved his life. It was snowing, more than it had in years. Cold enough that death by freezing was a real possibility. I'd taken Helmut out for a little walk. Noticed something and bounded off through the snow. When I caught up to him, he was sniffing at a car. Doors had frozen shut. It took all the strength I had. Eventually I managed to open one. Inside I found 2 young boys, shivering and semi-unconscious. 2? Yes. And had I found them even an hour later, the poor wretches would never have made it. I took them both to a nearby orphanage. Is it me, or is there something significant about what he just told us? What is it about Candace's statement that is especially noteworthy? I'm pretty sure this is going to actually be the date. The number of people in the car wouldn't really been very significant, but I'm pretty sure the date. But Andy can verify, because he said 18 years ago. So this was on Christmas Eve 18 years ago? You're certain of that? I am. Holy smokes! We have something that shows why that date is so significant. Which piece of evidence relates to the date on which Mr. Kenneth found the children? I already showed it.
Take that!
That was the same day on which a certain incident occurred. The murder of a well-known sculptor. No way! An incident in the aftermath of which 2 children went missing. The son of the victim, Artie Frost, and the son of the murderer, Carmelo Gusto. Yeah, now that you mention it, the little guys did go AWOL, huh? Intriguing. The son of a murderer and the son of his victim. I suppose it would make sense. It would. One of the boys was bound hand and foot, you see. That must have been part of Mr. Frost's plan to stop Mr. Gusto's son from getting to the competition. Indeed, because without his son to taste his creations, Mr. Gusto would have had no choice of winning. So that was what was behind it all. Sadly, neither of the boys were able to remember any such details. They weren't. No. We met each other again on the night of 12 years ago. The young pup explained it to me. It seems that they really were on the brink of death when I found them. And the shocks of the experience caused them both to lose their memory. They weren't even able to remember their names. Wow. So they wouldn't have known that they were Mr. Frost and Mr. Gusto's kids? If what he's telling us is true, that would seem likely, yes. Which means we still don't have enough to tell us who our mastermind might be. Mr. Canis, would you mind telling us what happened next? By all means. The pup and I. Not you, Helmut. You'll always be my #1 pup. The pup and I remained in contact even after I was sent to prison. But then I stopped hearing from him. Couldn't help but worry. And then people from 12 years ago started cropping up all over the place. It rather piqued my curiosity, so I thought I'd temporarily regain my freedom and look into things. People from 12 years ago. You mean Lagarde, Winter, and the President, I assume? Well, Warden Lagarde was in charge of the prison where he was an inmate this whole time, right? I fear I wasn't as kind to her as I could have been. But then she did try to have me killed. You already know why, of course. Because you murdered President Wang. But they needed the world to believe he was still alive. If somebody had exposed the president as a fake, it would have been bad for Lagarde and Chairman Winter, too. Exactly. Not only that, I happened to overhear something else intriguing that night. I'll be at the orphanage on the evening of the 9th. I'll be waiting in the front yard. I thought you could meet him if you'd like, but it's only just this once. I know you're a very busy man, but anyways, that's where we'll be tonight. Who are you? Sorry, but I'm waiting for somebody. So you are, President Wang. I couldn't help overhearing the news. Congratulations. But please don't worry about your son. I only kill those I am employed to kill. Which in this case is... No. Wait. This is my first chance to meet him. And it might be my only chance. Please, give me just a few minutes longer. Thought he was going to beg for his life, but no. Interesting character. Told him I was not aware that he had a child. No, he said, and shook his head. Neither was I, but the world will know that I have one now. I mean to make sure of it. I've even prepared something in case the worst comes to the worst. And the son in question, a young gentleman with the horn. Here, correct? Horns. You can see them? I don't need to, my dear. I've been listening very carefully, you see. And for longer than you may realize. So the president meant to tell the world about Sean and prepared something in case of the worst? It's not enough simply to have Candace's word on the matter. Of course. We have something that proves what he's telling us the president said is true. The will. A will everybody knew about. He entrusted it to my family to show his belief in us, after all. The name in the recording. Preparation. He had made, and he will. With those 3 pieces of information, I was able to convince Warden Lagarde to do anything I asked. With the information at his disposal, he could have exposed the truth about the body double at any time, and Sean's true identity with it. President Wang was more agile than I anticipated. He blocked my first knife thrust with something soft. That's probably how the horn got cut off from the plushie. By the time the piece I'd broken off hit the snow, my next strike had hit its mark. It was Kenneth who tore the horn off the Torosaurus doll. I was the only one present to hear his final words. The only one who knew the truth about his son. Well, me. That poor pup. Another long separation between the testimony and the cross.
Hold it!
So, you were able to continue communicating with him from prison? Yeah, I was, via post office box. What's that? It's a means of exchanging mail without revealing one's own address. I never knew where he was, and I wasn't able to flip out and track him down. I was being kept under rather strict supervision, you see. By Warden Lagarde, no doubt. What were the two of you even communicating about? We were playing correspondence chess, of course. That and gripping about our respective lots in life. Correspondence chess? But didn't you used to play that with, as unlikely as it may seem, Mr. Canis's chess opponent was Mr. Knight? Yeah, it was Mr. Knight. We found the diagram of the game in itself, too. Correspondence chess diagram data jotted down in my organizer. So, does that mean Knight had something to do with the IS-7 business? Wait, could that be it? Do we have any evidence that might connect Knight to the IS-7 incident? We should. Right, Di? We should. It's not going to be on page 4. more like page 2. Or maybe it's on page 3. We'll do page 2 and 3. Okay. I may have a feeling which document to use, but I'll let you guess. The report on Knight. See what it says. You were right, darling. There's some sort of connection between Knight and Canis. As you know, we've been trying to find out who Canis plays the silly correspondence chess game with. Well, now we know. I'll be pulling Knight into my office for a thorough grilling tomorrow, and I'll make that worm admit he's Canis's lackey, if it's the last thing I do. So you do your bit too, and retrieve that package we laid to rest 12 years ago. I'm sure it's still in front of the planter where we left it. So, verify with Andy to see if that's correct. Chessboard. Oh, right. He has a ring. He has the ring. This is everything Knight left behind. Could there be a clue in here somewhere? A ring and a chess set. Which one should we look at more closely? The ring. What about it, Mr. Edgeworth? Mr. Fender, take a closer look at it if you would. The design. That's Paul Hellicue's trademark mark. Indeed, it looks like somebody turned the stamp he used to sign his work with into a ring. But why would Knight have been carrying it? And why was it not with the rest of the evidence from the IS-7 incident? They tried to release Frost's personal effects to his next of kin after the case went down. But if I remember rightly, old Frost Boy didn't have any family aside from his kid. And the kid was missing. So they never got to hand it back to him. Or till later, anyhow. I heard on the grapevine that they found him in the end and gave him the goods, including the steel, it would seem, which he turned into a ring and wore until his own death. Knight's possession data updated in my organizer. So we're saying Mr. Knight was Mr. Frost's son? The cops don't mess around with stuff like that. They would have made sure before handing it over. And we were looking for something connected to the IS-7 incident? Who played correspondence chess, right? Wait! So our secret string puller is Bronco Knight?
Objection!
Knight is dead. How could he possibly be involved in our current case? Far out. So our only candidate for genius mastermind is a guy who already kicked the bucket? That's impossible! How can a dead guy be behind all this? Isn't it a little perplexing? But then, who else could it be? Di, do you have an answer?
Hold it!
He stopped responding? That seems strange. I'm glad you agree. Helmut did too, of course. That big scary mutt really said that? Wait, like, woof woof, that's barking mad! He does not need to talk in order for me to hear, my dear. He doesn't? Okay, well then, let me ask you something. That look he's giving me, the super intense kind of stare glare, he's not trying to say he's hungry, is he? He might be. He might be? Mr. Edgeworth, help! Jay really isn't fond of Candace's pet, it seems. Yes, there's a good boy. Now, where was I? Ah, of course. I suddenly stopped hearing from the pup. Low battery? Why?
Hold it!
It does all seem a little too much of a coincidence, doesn't it? An attempt was made on the life of the man who was pretending to be President Wang all these years. Warden Lagarde murdered Bronco Knight while he was being held at the prison she ran. An Excelsius winner, chairman of the committee for the prosecutorial execution. Prosecutorial excellence murdered Rosie Ringer. And the more I think back, the more it seemed at the time that some mysterious other presence was lurking behind all those incidents. Yes, even from behind bars, it was rather obvious that something strange was going on. You thought you temporarily regained your freedom? Could you be more brazen? Yeah, even a thief would struggle to get away with something like, I thought I'd temporarily steal it. Yeah. Fear not, nobody was injured in the course of my escape. It wasn't necessary after all. I have my ways. Let's leave it at that, shall we? Leave it at... No way, pal! You escaped. I ought to arrest you right now. There'll be no need for that, detective. As soon as my business is concluded, I'll return home to my cell. Are you serious? Prison isn't supposed to be someplace you can just stroll in and out when you please. With Candace it is! You can't say no to that guy! Strange that you would say that. Weren't you the one who strolled in to try and dig into my past only recently? You! Agent Lang, Detective Gumshoe. I need to be able to question Mr. Canis further. Could you both try to remain calm for now? Sure thing, sir. Kinda knew you were gonna say that. Fine. But I'm not taking my eyes off Dog Man. Not even for a second, you hear? I staked my reputation on it.
Hold it!
And Braille? That's how you wrote all of them? That's right. I have the tools to do so in my cell. Huh? So you have to use special tools? I never thought about it before, but I guess that makes sense. What exactly did you write about, if you don't mind me asking? Oh, this and that. General chit-chat. Chess moves, of course. He wrote the chess moves in Braille too? That's interesting. Speaking of chess moves, how does that piece you carved yourself move, the dog? Perhaps we can talk about that later for now. I'd like to know what happened when the letters stopped. I sat in my cell and tried to imagine where he might have gone. Okay, Nope, I still don't get it. Who does he mean? Who's this pup he keeps talking about? Oh, indeed, it seems that not even Mr. Canis knows his true identity. So, we should focus on what we do know. That there was a connection between the two of them. I'm particularly interested in how that connection was maintained. At this point, we should know who he is, right, Di? I think it's the one in Braille. The one I didn't read. This one? It's not going to be the chessboard. Probably going to be this thing. Is he right? Or is this right? You just ask him if this is right.
Attention!
You said that you wrote all your letters in Braille, is that correct? I don't mean to be rude, Mr. Prosecutor, but you do know about my condition, don't you? That's odd, because the chess diagram we found in Knight's cell didn't contain any Braille at all. Really? Surely that's impossible. How so exactly? Maybe someone typed Mr. Canis's letter out on purpose? Meaning there may have been some sort of intermediary between the two of them? So then, Mr. Canis says he wrote his letter in Braille. And yet, the letter received by Mr. Knight contained no Braille at all. This suggests that there must be a third party who typed Mr. Canis's letters out. Yes, it could have worked the same way on the flip side too, right? Whoever it was could have taken Knight's letters and turned them back into Braille. They could indeed. Correspondent chess diagram data updated in my organizer. I think you and Mr. Knight were both communicating with this person, Mr. Canis. Mr. Canis, the answers you received. They were written in Braille, too, yes. So, some mysterious middleman really was retyping the Bronxter's missives. And that same person might well be our secret string puller. Wait, you're trying to say there's another hidden mastermind behind this whole thing? So who's the new one? Bronco Knight, son of Artie Frost, is already dead. But what if the other child from the incident 18 years ago was actually who we've been looking for? Camilla Gusto's son? But who is he? And where is he? If Knight was Frost's son, Gusto's son would have to be... I've known him since we were kids. When both of us were all alone. He doesn't have any family, you see, just like me. Him? But seriously not. What's the matter, Mr. Edgeworth? You're white as a sheet. Of course. It all makes sense. I know exactly who our so-called mastermind is. What? Who? You have to tell us! I can hardly believe it, but it's somebody we know rather well. The person we've been looking for is... Do you know who it is, Di? Pretty easy, isn't it? Find who he is?
Take that!
It has to be. The person behind all of this. The person who forced Chairman Winter's hand by sending the letter to Rosie Ringer. The person who kidnapped Sean and bugged Kay and myself. The person who did the strangest thing of all. Who drugged Kay and carried her up to the roof of the big building. It was the monster. What? Did you really just say what I thought you did? Yes, the monster. That was the key to unmasking our mastermind. Oh! I almost forgot! We're, doing a new show soon. I'd love it if you could come, Mr. Edgeworth. I'll be joining Regina on stage for this one. That's right! The Very Big Circus is the biggest, most fabulous event in town. You'll have oodles of fun! Miss Lloyd, can I ask a favor? Ooh, a little of me? What kind of favor? You told us you recorded the sound of the Torosaurus breathing fire. Proof? What kind of proof? Did you capture something on your tape recorder, perhaps? Ooh, you're good, Ruffles. Sharper than gosh dang tack. I captured the sound of that big old beastie breathing fire. Is what I captured. Sure did. Like I said, I didn't precisely see the guy, but boy did I hear him. Can we listen to the tape? You sure can. Let's see now. That's it. That sound. It must be what I think it is. My theory has to be correct. The truth about the monster, the identity of the person behind all this. It's all falling into place. Miss Hart, you saw a giant eye at the window of the storeroom, did you not? Yep, snap me a picture of it too. Even if you can't rightly see it so well. We can't see it right now, but Detective Gumshoe. Yes, sir. Use your image analyzer. Your image analyzer, can we borrow it? Sure, but what do you want to look at, sir? This photograph right here. Gotcha, I'm on it. The clues we're looking for must be here. We just have to find it. Okay, so we're going to be over in this here. So we're going to zoom in. So that's what we're looking at right there. What do you see, Di? The eye, yes.
Eureka!
Nuts! See? I done told you, Torosaurus, his own dang self. Ha! Yes, there it is at last. The monster commanded by the architect of this whole scheme. Monster? You're finally ready to admit it? That he's dang well real? That big bad bull himself? Well, it's not that.
Objection!
No, because that isn't Torosaurus at all. It's the eye of a different giant beast entirely. Take a look at this, if you would. The Very Big Circus Flyer. The Very Big Circus Flyer? Oh, wait, look! You see it? The enormous lion balloon? That's the real monster. And the sound Miss Lloyd thought was the creature breathing fire? Come on! You're really gonna bring me crashing down to Earth like that? That's how balloons fly, huh? I burn gas to make hot air? They do. And our culprit was able to use that balloon to carry Kay up to the roof of the big building without even going near the elevator. So this culprit, they've got something to do with the circus? Circus worker. Friend of the Bronxster? Son of Gusteau? Whoa. You're not serious. You forgot to mention the trainee animal tamer. It's hard to believe. But he's the one who's been pulling the strings this whole time. That's right. Simeon Sane is the one behind all this. Simeon? But everything... Really? I don't believe you. We trusted him. And he trusted us. You can't tell me that was all lies. That would be too horrible. I'm sorry, Kay. Who was that? Hey, where do you think you're going, old man? Nothing escapes you, does it, young pup? My congratulations, Edgeworth. Now that I know the truth, my business here is done. What? No, Mr. Canis, wait! Damn it! He disappeared! Are you okay, Mr. Edgeworth? Don't worry, I'm fine. But... Damn you! Are you alright, Sean? He killed my dad! He did, right? There's no easy way to say it, but... Sorry, Sean. It would appear that he did. He won't get away with it. I'll make him pay! Somehow, some way, I'll...
Overruled.
No, Sean! You mustn't say such things! I'm sorry, Mr. Edgeworth. You'll have to forgive us both. I just put the call out, sir. All units are on the lookout for Mr. Canis. I don't mean to hurry everybody, but we'd better be on our way too. Well, Mr. Prosecutor, where do you think we'll find our mastermind? I suppose you're right. We should go after the mastermind right now. He said he had to practice for the show, which I guess means he'll be at the circus. But before we leave, there's something I'd like to ask of you, Agent Lang. There is? What? Once a beast has been sighted, the next step is to plan its capture. When we arrive, there's something we'll need to try and find as a matter of priority. And Detective, I'd like you to look into something that's been bothering me about Sean's kidnapping. Yes, sir. I want to help too, Mr. Edgeworth. Good. There's somebody I'd like you to try and contact. If Satan really is our mastermind, we're going to need this person's help. Between our many encounters, I never suspected a thing. Even though he was right there in front of me, I messed up. There's no other way of putting it, but I'm going to put things right once and for all. All right, that wasn't as long as last week. But, unfortunately, the next part isn't going to be as short. So this is going to end up being a short stream. I think it's going to end up being longer. There was only 2 in this one. No, there was 3. Because there was Lang's and there was 2 of Canis's. I think it's going to be longer. I think it's going to end up being longer. Last part, that should be the last part, right? Next week? Okay, that's what I thought. So, what's our thoughts about this, Di? Do you have any thoughts? Out of everybody that could have been the mastermind, did you think it was Simeon Saint? Wait until next week. So, if things work out right, next week should be the last part to Prosecutor's Gambit. And then we'll take a break from the Ace Attorney games the following week, and then after that we should pick up with Apollo Justice. Okay, so hold on a sec. I'm going to you might find some changes to the overlay. It might blink a little bit. Okay. Everything seems to be working. I had to make sure. So, this week. Tomorrow, Grocery Store Simulator. Providing Jack's internet's okay. Wednesday, I don't have adapter. So, Die Hack will have to be rescheduled. As for stream, I don't know. I will have to make a decision on that. Thursday, we start back we'll be doing the regular season of the PFL. And if we can get The Sims 2 working, Sims 2 will be Thursday night. And on Friday, again, PFL. And when Andy gets the account updated for The Sims 3, Sims 3 should start up on Friday. And that's the week so far. Okay? Any questions? There will be a Discord stream tonight too. All right. So we won't have a stream tonight, or we won't have a raid tonight. We'll have a Discord stream tonight after the stream. And that'll be it for me. Y'all have a good night.